Hulsey and Steiger, President. Gary Hulsey.
So, any changes or additions to the agenda? I need to get the stormwater grant.
John Jones has 3 things on the agenda. Do we need those?
We can talk about the speed bump, I guess. We have a photo update. And he was working on the whistleblower policy, so we can remove that. And then as far as the mayor's blog, do you want to remove it or leave it there?
5 minutes on 88 for hearing impaired.
1 second. On the mayor's blog, with council's pleasure.
It's John's thing. So he sent an email tonight, but I didn't have a chance to.
I haven't had a chance to read it either. I thought just before I came here.
I think we can speak it this week.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and remove that as well. And then we'll just touch briefly on the speed bump. And then I'm sorry, you wanted to add what, Gary?
About 5 minutes on ADA requirements for hearing impaired.
And then there's another thing that the mayor asked for me to put on the agenda. He's not here to speak to it. He wants to put on there requesting permission for the city to pay his attorney fees. So what's council's pleasure with that? The mayor's not here to speak to it, or do you want to discuss it without the mayor?
If there's no one to present on it, I don't.
Oh, it's pretty easy to discuss. No.
So we will, we'll fight on the side that there's no one here to present it, so it's removed. We're not going to add it to the agenda.
Can we move it to next week?
To the council meeting,
Invite the mayor to speak on it?
would you mind putting it on the council agenda? Well, we really shortened up the meeting. Okay, is that it? All right, moving on. So we'll start with the Springbrook contract.
Yay. If it's all the same to you, I'm going to sit today. So okay. So it's Serena Brawl, consultant to the city. I have 2 resolutions requesting signature for the business taxation module and the building permit module. That's all I have. I'll bring those to council.
Is there any further discussion on those 2 items?
Those are the ones they swapped out for us, right?
One of them, BT, the LP for BT, but there's still some financial implications. We have to get training for those.
Stuff, yeah. Wasn't there another one we talked about in the office when you were telling me about this a couple weeks ago, that there's another one we were interested in? Was
Well,
the
there's
building
2
permit?
more. Building permits is here.
Okay.
So that's the 2, business taxation and building permits. There's 2 more we're looking at, and we're still discussing the financial that we're going to present, but I'll tell you what they are. They're ESS, which is employee self-service, which allows your employees to get online, get their own documentation, record their time. It goes through the supervisor for approval before going on to payroll, as opposed to payroll processing it all and keying it all goes through supervisors. It's really super inexpensive, but we haven't decided if we want to take on that training or if we just really want to do the work. And the other one is a code enforcement module, and because we don't have a code enforcer at this point, we're sort of just going to back burner it until such time as we get one and they decide that maybe they want to look at that.
I think that was the one.
Code enforcement we were talking about, yeah.
And that one's something that we don't currently have any sort of software for, so it's not something we need the migration coordination.
That's true.
Either way.
That's true. It is Springbrook, and it does coordinate and attach to the lot database. Remember, it's people versus places. So the code enforcement actually ties to the parcel, and it also ties to the customer. So if you have a customer who has issues with garbage in their yard, and they continually are not in compliance with your code and they move from property to property to property, you'll still be able to see that that person is not in compliance no matter where they move. If you have a property that it has issues, continuing issues, maybe it's on a corner and you have, I don't know, drug surveillance issues, regardless of who is residing in that property, you can see that too. So you'll be able to see both the customers or constituents and the parcel itself. It does tie to Springbrook, so if you pull the parcel, you'll see their building permits, their code enforcement issues, their utility billing, their licenses, business licenses. You see that all of that in one place. But I don't think they're there. Any questions?
What's council pleasure?
Move forward.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the EFT processing.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Do you need me to, can I stay here?
Sure, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
After we met with the finance committee to go over the police department concealed pistol licenses, we further contact with the Department of Licensing, and there's 3 different tiers. You weren't here last time, so there's 3 different tiers. The 3rd tier can be a standalone for just finance to do what we need to do. So they will do all their pistol stuff, and then we will do just the final pay, the bill when after they've done all the records checks and everything else. So because your city code requires all payments from the city for claims and obligations to be done by check, we have to have an ordinance to change the code. So you have an ordinance in your packet to change the code to allow for electronic fund transfer and ACH payments, specifically with limitations, so that we don't have somebody rogue just sending money without council knowing. The vendor has to be approved for that type of transaction before, by resolution, before finance does it. In the future. That's not what has happened in the past. We're moving forward to the future, making sure that everything's carrying through. So you also have a resolution in the packet that is authorizing the Department of Licensing for the concealed pistol license and City of Pacific employees for automatic deposit of payroll, which we currently do, but I don't have anything documented, and I wanted to keep it all together so that it was really obvious what was authorized and what wasn't. I did also have a conversation today with Mark Raposo from the State Auditor's Office, the Tacoma office, and he was very pleased that we are going in this direction. He wasn't pleased with the idea of separate departments having the authorization to pull money from the bank.
So are those the only 2 ACH that we're using? Because the court, you would think the court would resubmit or submit to the state electronically. Do we need additional resolutions?
They don't.
They all do checks?
They do checks.
Okay.
But, no, there are other ones that were adopted at the last meeting for IRS, Department of Revenue for
Okay.
B&O excise taxes, retirement, the medical through AWC, and the postage meter.
That was 5.
I think that's them,
Okay.
but the resolution on your last packet
Okay.
for those.
And then my other question, more the process versus the ACH piece, I'm fine with that. But if I'm going to go get my concealed pistol license, I would go to the police department, fill out the paperwork, they would do all the background, the fingerprints, and when it's done, I'd come over here to pay. But we have out of pocket.
No. You go over there and you pay them, and they process it entirely.
The same way that they did
The
before.
same way they've done it always in the past.
Okay.
And then they send the money over to finance like they do any money that they collect for their services that they provide.
Okay. and then we
And
submit
then
ACH.
they tell us who's been approved, and these are the ones you wanna pay for, and then we push the button saying, okay, pay this one, this one, this one, and 2 days later, Department of Licensing will pull that much money out of our bank account.
Okay. That makes sense. The way I read it, for some reason, is the customers actually have to come over here to pay. Got it.
No, the idea is to do it as smoothly and easily as possible. And for them to keep their fiscal information and private information in
Yeah,
their
because
building.
Yep.
There's
Well,
a genuine security concern there, that, not that anyone in the finance department, as much as we trust them for the finances, should have access to all the background information we get on that.
Well, no, but my
Yeah.
concern was that the citizens go over there.
Come over
and
here,
then-
go over there, no.
Well, and if they fail for some reason, we pay for that. The way I read it for some reason was that they would go over there, they'd do all the paperwork, and then they'd come over here once it's approved and pay, versus if they weren't approved. So I'm with you now, though.
Yeah, no, I think
That
they
must have
pay
been
up
later.
front.
And so, just to echo an email that Josh had sent, good job on the teamwork on getting that all taken care of and handled. That was awesome. Any other questions? Councilor Steiger? So the next item on the agenda is the speed bump on Tacoma Boulevard, and there was a lot of questions that came up surrounding this, and unfortunately we don't have anybody here from staff to speak on it. I know when we talked about it at the meeting, there was concern about there was no work order written on it, it wasn't marked. The police department didn't, or the fire department didn't even know about it, but now they're aware of it, they've gone out and checked it out, and there was no signage. Also, it was talked about it wasn't engineered, and the proper process wasn't followed as far as the survey and all of that needs to go along with speed bumps being installed. You all got a picture in your box, apparently it's now marked, and signage is there for the speed bump. Other than that, I'm not sure what council wants to discuss with that any farther.
Well, we just need further information, because we still don't know where our liability lies, whether they're too close together, whether they're too tall. I mean, we need the specs.
Right.
Yeah, I would like to have the fire department, take another look at them now that they're marked and see if they're satisfied with them, because, certainly emergency services access is one thing that you don't want to slow down.
If I talk to the fire department, they have no problem.
They say they have to come to a complete stop to go over them, but they're used to that.
Yeah, okay, as long as they're,
But as far as now, and now they're marked, so that I know that there was concerns before as far as safety for the public, that with them not being marked on a dark night or rainy night or whatever, that you wouldn't see it, and if you hit it too fast, you might go off in the ditch or something, would take out the front end of your car, apparently.
So I guess we still need to know, make sure that we meet state or whatever specs we have to meet on those. Because even if it's properly marked and everything else, if they're improper speed bumps, we're still open, I would
Right.
think, to come for a claim.
yeah, and I wouldn't, it don't appear to be wet weather tracks on surface. I could be wrong, but I'd be worried about what motorcycles are gonna do going through there. Yeah, as long as they see it.
So, how do you think we should address that, or how do we get answers to that?
Well, I think probably the people that would be the most advisable would be AHBO, because they did a study on that road and everything. I believe that John Jones was checking into that. I have
Right,
not heard
and he
from
would.
him. We have a public works meeting Wednesday night,
You do?
so let's see what happens there.
Maybe we'll just have that come back onto our agenda on Monday after it goes to committee.
Yeah, put it back on Monday if we have to delay it.
Okay. Could you do that, Angelica, to add that?
Washington State Department of Transportation should have the specs on how far.
streets, but I think we also have standards for what we were using.
I'm not remember that.
But again, HBL would know.
This kind of fits in this, I guess I would clump it into random public works projects that occurred. The striping on 6th Avenue, down in my neighborhood, about half the street is now a double yellow line, and the other half's not. So if you come from down on Yakima and turn left on 6th, from Yakima until about, I don't know what that street is. So it's Yakima, is it Chinook?
I think the people who
Chinook or Glacier?
Yeah, I think there's Glacier, and then I think it's Chinook. It ends at Chinook, and then there's another 2 or 3 blocks that aren't striped. So I'm just curious how that decision was made and why we striped half the street.
Well, double yellow lines just means no passing. You can cross it.
But there's never been striping on that street,
not even on
and it's
June.
not a major street. It's a random neighborhood.
I don't know whether fly alignment is out practicing. A lot of times they have new pieces of equipment or they're out on a project or X amount of paint left and they need to get out of the truck, whatever. They'll just stripe the street for it arbitrarily.
And they did that question, I did hear that question. Jim Sharkey came in and asked the mayor about whether or not they could do that. Don't know if this is the same project, but they had extra paint, it was gonna be free, could they stripe some streets? And he said yes, and Jim said okay.
So, and I'm
So
totally
Jim
for
Sharkey
that.
has the answer.
Okay, and I'm totally for that, and that happened before on County Line when Jay was here. But they striped 30 feet of it and stopped because they were testing a new product. If they want to do it for free, that's great. Do the whole street, because it looks stupid. I mean, honestly, half the street is striped. I guess you're supposed to figure it out after that. But it just doesn't make any sense to stripe half of it. So I just wanted to find out where that came from.
Up to this point, it's never been an issue. That's what I would find out.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with it, but, and it's got the bumps and everything, if I remember right. I didn't pay a lot of back those attention to it, but, I mean, they did a nice job, it's just.
That's all you have to do. So, did you want to add that to Monday's agenda, or?
I just wanted to see if it had been discussed at any other week, because I missed last week, so I don't know if it was brought up, or, maybe Public Works can ask.
That's about it.
So, moving on down the agenda, it looks like the last item to discuss is ADA requirements.
Okay. Spent most of today going methodology and audiology and ADA. Because my hearing aids grew out on me about a month or so ago. And I have some hearing loss as well as the mayor. They said there are 2 types of systems that we can use. One, if we have a loop system on our PA, I'm not sure what that means. They said a loop system can be picked up by all the hearing aids in the room. So that would benefit the mayor, that would benefit me, and anybody else in the room that wears hearing aids, without any modification to their present hearing aids. Or we could go to wireless mics, and the transmitters can be programmed into the modern hearing aids, where we can flip a switch and pick up all the microphone transmissions in the room. And that's where we stand on that. So they're 2 relatively simple fixes. I think the loop system would make sense, because that will allow everybody in the room that wears hearing aids to also benefit without having any modification to their present hearing aids.
But that would require us placing, I mean, just looking at the system, it doesn't look like something that would support any in the last 10 years.
I'm not sure. We probably have to get a PA specialist to have a look at it, get a bid on it.
Well, and we can look at the system that we have in the court. It's only set up for 1 receiver, but I wonder if it's the same type of thing. I looked up online, those transmitters are pretty spendy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it may offer additional functionality, and I think Clint has a book on it, don't you? The pamphlet?
What?
Do you have the pamphlet for that system? Oh, she said when I stopped by to pick it up, she said some other council member grabbed the book. Maybe John has it.
Wasn't me.
Okay.
I don't want to hear more than one thing.
So, we'll do some research and see if our existing system does that, and if not, we can.
Yeah, but then we have to provide headsets for anyone that's hearing impaired and beyond.
Well, but if this system is the one that will broadcast and allow hearing aids to pick up on that frequency?
Yeah. I think that transmitter, most modern hearing aids can be programmed to pick up that, and then there'd be a switch on there, we just turn it on.
Yep.
So, are you getting new hearing aids, like the modern hearing aids?
Pardon?
Are you getting new hearing aids?
They get new hearing aids the 2nd of November.
So I'm just curious, are you getting the modern one where you can pick up a transmitter?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, we want to wait till November and see if that works for you, I don't know.
I don't know. They told me I'm totally deaf in my left ear, and I've had, without hearing aids, I've had 5 years ago 23% speech recognition. In my right ear, that's down to 18% now. So if I can't see your lips, I can't see what you're saying.
Is there any chance, you think that, someone from the VA might come in and, consult with what we need? We've got 2 vets with hearing difficulty who are employees of the city and need accommodation of some sort.
We got a
Would they
vet.
be willing to, yeah, and
We got a
how many
vet.
in the audience?
This audience that has some hearing.
So,
I will talk to the audiologist when they're next, and if they can come out and give us some consultation.
Good idea.
yeah, they are the experts on blast damage to hearing, and them and riveters.
Donald's hearing aids are supposed to be set up for that transmission already, because his hearing aids are new.
We'll have to test it maybe.
I don't know if they've been programmed for it, but there's new hearing aids, so.
You have a problem hearing, Don? And
I can hear and hear fine.
you can hear and hear fine?
And he's got ringing in his ears too, and he's had head surgery, brain surgery.
Okay.
Some metal plate in his head?
No.
So, I don't see anything else on our agenda. Is there anything else anybody wanted to bring up or discuss? All right, meeting adjourned. Wow, this is a record book.
Yeah, look at that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're the one right now.
Yeah, I was just hit on that.
Very good.
Hey, we figured it out without James.